This reading is for Valerie. The sheet you are looking at is what I call the cheat sheet, and I can send this to you for reference. Also, if you wanted to print it out, it's really handy because here we have your chart, but it also lists things out in an organized way for you to just kind of peek over and see what energy is most dominant in your chart. So when I'm first looking at a chart, I like to just talk about the big three first, because when we think about the core personality points, we think about the big three. How are we presenting our identity into the world with the ascendant? And how are we viewing things that are happening to us through the ascendant? So let's start there. Your ascendant is in the sign of Pisces. So when you're first experiencing things that are new people, new events, you do it through a very emotional standpoint. People probably think that you are a good listener, that you're compassionate, you're empathetic to causes. You might be the kind of person that sees like a really sappy commercial around the holidays and will tear up. You just can instantly get connected to your emotional nature. And it can really be inspiring for like artistic ability, but it's also really changeable in the sense that you might feel like you can handle life a little bit easier than others. You're what we call adaptable. So you have this like compassionate, sensitive side, but you also can kind of go with the flow of life's rhythms and you understand that this too shall pass. It's the deep sensitivity of Pisces that is just this very like deep well of learning to trust the universe, that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves. And like this knowing that we're all in this together and that nothing is happening by chance. So when you're in these new situations and meeting new people, that is like the whole aura that you're bringing to every situation. So people see like this depth in you, and it's something that they can feel right away. And it makes you kind of have this different like vibration than other people. And it probably brings you, joy and pain with having that kind of access to your emotions on this like deeper level. Because people with Pisces rising or Pisces in the big three are sometimes targeted by these like energy vampires, like I like to call it, because that vibrational energy that other people don't have, if they're a less vibration, they're, living more in a painful existence and they feel you're connected to source on a more accessible level. People want to take from that. So you can just find yourself having like energy depletion a lot when you're around different types of people. You can kind of feel the energy of a room or a person. And if you have to give more because people have less, you will, because you like to have people feel higher vibrations themselves. It's a charitable sign. But then you might find that you feel exhausted or your energy level isn't maintainable around certain people. And then conversely, people that are also spiritually on the higher levels, when you're around those type of people, or maybe like a spiritual session or a spiritual retreat, you can feel really charged and it's like a high for you. So it's just this easily accessible energy field that you have and other people can feel it too. So it's precious though. I hope that you have learned through time when to stop and recharge. There's boundaries that need to be set with that Piscean energy, or else it can be depleted. So let's move on to your sun sign. So our sun is where if you're feeling lost or confused or not like yourself, they say, the fastest way to heal through that and be more in tune with yourself is to follow the sun. Get in the light of your sun and you'll instantly feel more aligned. Yes, there's so much more than the sun, but the sun is popular for a reason because it's a quick fix. And your sun is in Taurus in the second house. So for you, that's going to have that grounding energy where the Pisces is flowing and seeing what life is bringing to it. Taurus kind of wants to dig its heels into the earth and say, I'm staying here and I'm going to build something of substance here. And I'm going to weather the storm. I'm not going to just go with the flow. I'm going to make a stand. So it's all about making a stand on what you have physically and also internally. So people with the sun and Taurus sometimes are working towards a life of building this value system in themselves that they're not just easily blown all over the place as far as just adapting other people's belief systems. Yours is reinforced because the sun is in Taurus and then the sun is in the house of Taurus. So it's like this extra Taurus energy, plus um, you have Mars, Mercury, and Chiron all in Taurus in the second house. So you're just kind of asking this human experience to help you be someone of substance and of concrete views. You're building your own personal self esteem and you're building your own value system and you're building your own reflection of that. So we also talk about this house being the house of money because in our human society, people value money. And when we have money and we want to take care of it, sometimes we have things to show for it because we have done a good job of caring for our money. So now we were able to buy beautiful things. But really, it's about the value system is what's important. Not everybody values money like that. Some people value their body. Some people are just learning to love themselves in this house. I'm focusing more on that for you because Chiron's in that house with you. Sometimes there's a feeling of less than perfect when Chiron shows up in the second house in Taurus. It's like the physical body or the instinctual side of the person has been hurt in some way and it left your self-esteem kind of down and you spend time in this life building that back up and then being a light to other people on how to take care and love yourself, really value your own opinions. This theme to your chart, we'll get into it more too, but with you have like a what we would call a seesaw chart. So most of your energy is divided in two parts of the chart. So we have your second and third house, and then we have the other side of things is like the eighth and ninth with sprinkles of 7 and 10. So it's like the I have and I communicate versus the we have and the higher knowledge theme going on with these authorities in the seventh house. It kind of speaks to a theme of relying on higher ideals of what you thought is expected of you and people in your life that have told you to be a certain way versus the internal drive of the ego in yourself to lean on yourself. And can I trust myself to do what I need to do? Or do other people know better? Do traditions of long ago and maybe like religious dogmas make more sense? And the nodes are thrown into this question for you. So it just makes me think that is kind of the theme that you have chosen to conquer in this life. So moving on to the moon, our like emotional nature, our deep intimate relationships so close that they transcend how we act towards other people in our lives. It's how we feel about ourselves deep down in our soul mission. and if how we feel with the closest people, sometimes not even our lovers, sometimes our children, our mother, people that the most precious relationships. And sometimes that can be a source of uncomfortable feelings with the moon in Scorpio. Sometimes it can have a little bit of blocks there. These deep personal relationships in Scorpio, sometimes it's been to our own detriment to be in these relationships. Um, in the eighth house in Scorpio, there's like this maternal energy there. So somebody with the moon in the eighth house, we would say there's like a maternal lineage going on here of inheriting maternal based values or actual physical items. Did you get an inheritance from your mother? Or are there these emotional values that you have accepted as your own, um, that she also did? Is the genes of hers so strong that you felt like you became part of something without ever really consciously choosing? The Scorpio moon is a deep, intense sign, and it usually means these really close relationships that we've had with people we're willing to do anything for at any cost, and sometimes we lose a piece of ourselves in these relationships. And it's not good or bad, right? Energy just is. It doesn't have to be a bad thing or a good thing. But it just means that it's an intense thing. It's not something that we took lightly. It's a relationship that at the time meant everything to us. And in the eighth house, it's usually wrapped up in other people's belongings that are going to also belong to us. So it's something passed down to you through the mother line, and it plays a significant role in your life because this eighth house is opposing your second house in your chart. So the moon, mother, or somebody like that, or somebody very close to you. Some people would even say, if you can't relate to those themes, another theme is that your own deep personal drives and desires, your emotional security in yourself is conflicting with ideas of how you can claim your own space and build on your own doing. Here is the second house that you're working on your own value systems and having stuff that you have built for yourself, where the inheritance side, or what you used to think was going to bring you this emotional security and feelings of fulfillment and contentment, was based on something that either other people gave you or other beliefs that you thought that you were supposed to inherit and adopt yourself. But this red line is in opposition, and you start, Mercury opposing and Mars opposing your moon, make you think my thoughts and my desires might be different from what I have been told that I'm supposed to be feeling and doing. And there's this internal dialogue that you're having that says, that makes me feel less secure. I become emotionally unstable and insecure when what I'm thinking and my desires to take action with are not lining up with like my past or what other people who are close to me would do or say. And with the sun and the moon on the opposite sides, it can it can pull at your identity because they can be on two looking in two different ways. So you're always trying to find the middle ground in yourself to come to an agreement here. On the plus side, though, with the sun in Taurus and the moon in Scorpio, it's both on the fixed axis and it's both in those signs. So the theme here is you want security. So that is the axis here: security within myself or security through what we have made together. And so there's this there's this desire here in this fixed energy to acquire things that make you feel solid, that you're not going to be destitute or that you're going to be unknowing of things, that you'll know who you are and you'll know what you have. And the pool then is just between, is it through people in your life that you do this together with, or is it through doing it on your own? And that is the Scorpio Taurus conversation in itself is, I desire to have this, or do we desire to have this together? And a lot of times it's through death and rebirth of different family lineage, of inheriting things through the eighth house and experiencing births of a new family line, that you learn more about your emotional needs and connections. And it's a lot of letting go of what isn't working for you so that you can go back to your second house of who you are and not be swept away in the emotions of what you cannot control. Um, so that's the big three here for your chart. So there is the water, the earth, and the water. So you're mostly a feeling person who benefits from the structure of consistency in your life. And it's it's a pattern that is more receptive than or receptive or feminine than masculine or active. So that makes you altogether more of a person who is an observer, who likes to feel things out. You might be a little bit more hesitant to do things. You probably think things through a little bit with all that second house energy. You really like to have stability in your life. So you're probably somebody that is going to take a moment and wait it out. With Mars in the second house in Taurus, you have a lot of instinct and drive, and you can go and achieve and crush goals. That's great. Taurus determination and Mars is desirable because once you have your eye on a prize, you're almost unstoppable. But it doesn't just jump at the first thing. It doesn't just go without thinking. It's not really impulsive. So I think that your energy altogether is somebody who acts more from a stand of a deeper psychological understanding of the situation before they make moves. Um, and and that's something to know and consider because the angles of your house are mutable. So when we think of the angles, we think of the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, and the MC. So there's that going with the flow feelings, but it's kind of contradicting to your desires for security and to protect what you have already. So I just bring that up because the the mutable energy of your angles here is is to know that you can roll with life and you want to experience many things. So you don't want to be stuck. You want to experience as much as you can, but for the purpose of finding out who you really are in what you value and what you don't. You have to experience life to have that discernment of what you like and what you don't like. If you had no experience in life, then you wouldn't know why you chose one thing or another. You would just be more open. You want to know what you like and what you don't like. And you do that through having open experiences of learning, of taking a lot of opportunity to have new experiences and learn through new things. So with the Sagittarius MC, your highest gift to the world is this like really grand desire to look at the big picture of life and find like these higher philosophies that resonate with you, to do that, to explore all these different belief systems and to figure out which one makes sense for you and for the world at large. It's very exciting for you to think about what's out there. Like, what do we not know yet? What can I like learn about that's going to blow my mind on my perspectives and kind of change them? But if you look right next to it, that's where your south node is too. So that's comfortable for you to be like that. You get excited about new information, about exploring new places, about being out into something that you've never known before that's exhilarating to you. And you probably have this really big adventurous side. Your north node, though, on the other opposing side of your seesaw chart, is saying, though, in this life, my soul wanted to find out more on a personal level about people. So, North Node in Gemini in the third house is really about climbing down off that mountain, coming down into the everyday world of the small town and getting to know the people on that level. So, I, and this is random, but I like to think of like Beauty and the Beast for this when Belle's in the town and she's in the market and she's going to buy, or she's walking through other people that are buying eggs and bread for the day, and she's blowing past them talking about how she wants so much more than this. So she runs out into the field and she's singing about what else is out there. Like, that's how I feel Sagittarius south nodes are, especially at the top of your chart. You're always wanting to know, like, what else is there? I know there's something bigger than this. I know there's a greater meaning. And that's where your soul has already been. Your soul saying, I've been the adventurer. And but actually what I want to do this time that I haven't experienced or given the time to is I want to be Belle in the market, knowing what it's like to be a person of the people on that everyday community level. Let me get to know the people who are my townsfolks and see what their perspectives are. What are their stories? Because I've already been out in the world and looked at all these different perspectives and mind blowing philosophies. And that was great. But look at all that I missed on just the everyday people that have their own stories to tell. And I could learn so much from their experiences too. And that's what the third house, North Node, is about. It's about getting different perspectives, many different perspectives from people that are not far from you, that are right here where you already are, that maybe you have passed by or overlooked. And it wants a variety of these connections and always this open ability to communicate your thoughts to the people. And what I think is really cool about that for your chart is because that second house is full of you coming into your own and learning who you are and being proud and standing tall in who you are as a person. You know, that Taurus strength, it's unmoving. And that is your energy. You're learning to be a person who is this rock of a person in themselves, and nothing anybody can say or do is going to penetrate that. They are who they are. Like, you're learning to build some serious values and have like rock solid self esteem. And then your soul really wants to spread that with other people. So now you, and look where your Venus is too, you actually really love to meet new people and communicate your thoughts with them and hear theirs just for the sake of the now and enjoying the day and living in the moment. Like, you have this side of you that's just really curious about how other people are living their life, what matters to them, what they know, what they want to talk about, without having to jump to these higher level thinking, let's discuss greater matters, of deep philosophies. Like, you could do that too. You feel comfortable there and you're probably gifted with it, your highest vocation. So if you were to ask me about your job, I would say lean into your Sagittarian qualities for a job. Have you ever considered being a flight attendant or a pilot or a traveling agent, going to another country to teach people English, being in uh, a college and teaching philosophy, learning some amazing skill and then becoming a professor of it or taking apprentices, you have a lot of wide knowledge on higher levels to share with people that you could probably make money off of. And you do it in an optimistic, fun way, and you tend to blow people's minds when you talk to them. But on the soul level, what you actually want to accomplish here is you want to build confidence in who you are, and then you want to share that casually on a one-to-one personal level. You don't really want to stand at the top and talk to a crowd of people, although you may do that for money or to influence people because you're good at it. But your soul wants to know also, well, what's it like after I'm done speaking to everybody and leading them? Can I just be one-on-one and see what that's like too? Because that's a whole different perspective. That's a whole different experience. And that's where my soul is going to really get excited and feel fulfilled when it recognizes another light in another soul, and we can communicate and we can really connect on a one-to-one level. And I want to do that with many different people. So that's the Gemini Venus energy too, is, you know, it's not about being unfaithful in love, it's about loving all kinds of people. So you might be attracted to many different kinds of people. You might need like real intellectual stimulation to fall in love with someone. You kind of just love being open and curious about what being in love could be like. And with your other fixed energy, I could see you being long term committed to somebody. But the excitement of falling in love might come from because you think someone's really interesting or funny or clever, or maybe they have this like childlike curiosity about everything and they're just really in the moment all the time. Like those are things that are very exciting to you. But when it comes to your being feeling security, I could see you wanting to settle down with someone at some point. But to really light you up, trivia night somewhere is probably exciting for you. Um, that kind of rolls over into the seventh house where I just see these outer planets of like authority and transformation in the seventh house. I would say there's sometimes people say that's like a fear of commitment. Doesn't have to be. It could be that you had some kind of really intense upbringing or really intense relationship at some point where people felt like they owned you and you weren't sure of like boundaries. That's a Pisces rising predicament also, being like taken advantage of in relationships, and then like having to fall hard to realize that I need to build up better boundaries next time. People don't own me. I have a right and I have choices. A relationship should be 50-50. Pluto, Libra is transformation to achieve balance. So when it's in the relationship house, are you getting 50-50 in the relationship, or is somebody trying to dominate you? Are you trying to dominate them? Are there these power struggles because you didn't come in as equal? Sometimes Saturn and Pluto makes people be attracted to partners that are very like authoritarian in nature. Did like falling in love with the boss and then never being able to separate that relationship where they always are kind of taking the authority of the final say in things? So it's finding a balance, meeting your equal and not feeling like you have to prove something to them to get their respect. You come in being respected and that never changes, and always being able to still have a voice in what you're doing. And with Saturn there, sometimes it takes a while to learn these things because, again, the theme of your chart is to find out your value system and be immovable on it. And if it's not the right person because they don't have the same beliefs, then that's okay. Move on. You actually really want to know what you believe in and not let anybody sway you on that. So that means it might just take later in life for you to find the partner that is your equal, because you are taking the time for yourself to learn who you are first. So when you finally do find your person, you are in a more mature state, and then you can meet them as your equal. So the other part of this seesaw for you was the going into the ninth and the 10th. So with the North Node right on the cusp here, it's really knocking on the door of your fourth house. So when it's on the cusp there, and then your south node then has to be on the cusp of the 10th house, you kind of always have this struggle in your mind too of this opposition, this deep red line here of the home versus the world at large or the career kind of energy. So there's this Sagittarius energy all in your ninth house leading into the 10th house here. That's just a very public energy with Jupiter and Uranus in your ninth house. You are probably really great at like higher level institutions, if that's school for you, or if it's just being like in the public eye and not really, having anxiety in large crowds. You might just be somebody who is like a people person and can really influence other people in groups. And you just have like this sudden burst of insight and energy and optimism that's just really engaging for other people. And you might do really well like in the public eye, but there is sometimes confusion about what it is that your high ideals wanted, that are you actually achieving that ideal? There can be like a disillusionment there when you have a lot of energy, but um it's still a pool that there was part of you that wants to be a little more private than, or maybe there's something that wants to stay a little closer to home and doesn't want to be shared with the world, and things can get confusing for you on what you want to achieve publicly versus what you really were wanting to intend to just stay between you and maybe somebody else. So it's kind of just finding this this drive for, how do you what is it that you want to achieve? Do you want to have like career recognition for being an expert at something? Do you just want to other people to be able to share in what you know? And I'm talking professionally. Do you want to get people really excited and take them on some mental or physical journey? Do you want to write about some places that you've been in either of those categories? Or did you think that you wanted that? And then now that you've gotten those things, you've figured out that that's not exactly how you thought it would feel when you got there. So Neptune at the top sometimes can be this confusion about what you thought something would look like at a certain level in your career, and it's not fulfilling you like you thought it would, or maybe not it's just not what you had dreamed it to be. Maybe what you had imagined was great because you can have a great imagination, but in reality it's not that way. With Neptune and Sagittarius, it makes me feel that there is a spiritual side to you that needs to be fulfilled at a career level. So Sagittarius can be a religion or doctrine or dogma, but it can also just be, um, you know, higher morals, higher belief systems, engaging with people who want to be better or learn more about the spiritual world. And with Neptune there, it makes me think that that is important to you. And where spreading knowledge and learning more used to be good enough, well, there is a spiritual component that you need to mix into that. So I could see you being like some kind of yoga instructor or something. See, like you're physical, you're teaching a class, but then you're also incorporating this like spiritual tone to it, something where you can combine your influence over people, your passion, your excitement over something, and mix in a little spirituality for yourself too. That's important to you with that sign at the very top of your chart. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to talk about, if there was anything else that was jumping out at me. I know that covered a lot. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but I don't want to keep rambling, and then it's a lot to take in here. So I think I'll stop there and let me know what you think if you have questions or if there's something that you were hoping I would touch on that I skipped over. Oh, I want to, yeah, as I see it, your intercepted signs of Aries and Libra, your houses don't start on any of those. So we're calling those intercepted. You do have Pluto and Libra. So sometimes that's harder to access because it's in a house that never really had a true ownership. So where your seventh house actually starts on Virgo, Libra is the ruler of the Pluto energy there. So sometimes that um, is a little bit harder to feel in yourself. So with the Aries being intercepted too, your relationship access with yourself and with your significant partner sometimes can be a little bit tricky to navigate because there's a side of you that isn't being represented there. So your internal focus on the self, your pure self drive and focus is covered up by this need of Pisces to be giving to others. And then it jumps to Taurus in the second house to take care of basic needs and protection of the self, but to actually identify the self of its basic self rights and I deserve to be here and take up space has been shrunk. And then the ability to find the partner and compromise and be fully aware of what the partner wants and needs has been covered up because Virgo has started the axis here, and the acts of service and what can I do for them, and I am here to be skilled to help somebody has taken over the seventh house. But actually coming in as the equal, Pluto is going to help teach you that by giving you people who are not treating you as equals so that you can learn that way by process of elimination. So what you want to do is try to see where you can give yourself space, physical space, the right to be somewhere, doing things for you just because you want to do it and it helps you feel like yourself, being physically active and being very assertive in your needs. And then also in Libra, making sure you're going into partnerships where you have decided that 50-50 is what you're looking for. You're not looking to be anybody's servant, and you're not looking for anybody to overshadow you or for you to overshadow them. You're trying to find balance. And even though they're intercepted, they still want a space in your chart and in your life. And this is a very important axis. I mean, they're all important, but it's important for you to take extra time to consider those things. Sometimes I even like to recommend finding people, like actual people that have the big three of one of those and be around them because then they can help you learn what those signs are actually like and the energies that they exude. And you can learn from in yourself too by seeing other people with those big threes and how they act and do things. And it's a little learning project and it's nice for you, especially with the Pisces risings, because you can probably pick up on their feelings and how they're doing things quicker. This way you're not just overlooking those areas of your life because those are important lessons to master. And these signs, all the signs are trying to tell us things. And when they're buried in the chart, they get skipped sometimes, but you don't want to have to learn lessons because we're not aware of it. So let's be aware of those signs. Make time for yourself physically, assertively, and then also make sure relationships are 50-50. Okay, now I think that was everything I wanted to say. So I'll stop sharing here. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Like I said, let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to clarify anything or add something if I missed anything that you wanted to hear about. All right, talk soon.